Welcome to HornAfrica Insight, your trusted source for East Africa's current affairs. Today, we bring you four major developments shaping the Horn and beyond: Washington's renewed stance on Ethiopia's Grand Renaissance Dam dispute, Somaliland's high-level visit to Addis Ababa, Kenya's banking ambitions in Ethiopia's market, and the IMF's latest growth forecast for the region. Stay tuned, subscribe, like, and share. You're watching HornAfrica Insight, where East Africa's story shines. Hashtag HornAfrica Insight. U.S. President's Senior Advisor for African, Arab, and Middle Eastern Affairs, Masad Boulos, reaffirmed Washington's commitment to finding a peaceful solution to the dispute over the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, saying the issue should be addressed through technical means rather than politics, according to Ahram Online on October 14, 2025. We are working to find a solution suitable for all parties, especially on the technical side, as it is purely a technical matter that must be resolved in a technical way, Boulos told Al Arabiya on Monday. He described the dispute as a matter of life and death for Egypt, Sudan, and Ethiopia, adding that the dam is now a reality following its completion and official inauguration. A solution must be found within this reality, he said. The $4 billion hydropower dam on the Blue Nile, with a reservoir capacity of 74 billion cubic meters, has been under construction since 2011. Ethiopia has refused to sign a legally binding agreement with downstream countries after more than a decade of talks. Cairo and Khartoum say Addis Ababa's unilateral filling and operation of the dam could sharply reduce water flows during droughts. Ethiopia has filled the reservoir without an agreement, completing 5 filling stages between 2020 and 2024, deepening tensions with Egypt and Sudan. Boulos said the U.S. continues to encourage peaceful cooperation between Cairo and Addis Ababa, describing the two as nations bound by historical ties that should not lead to conflict. He noted that he discussed the issue during recent visits to Ethiopia and Egypt, and said communication between the U.S. and Egyptian administrations remains ongoing. Speaking about U.S. President Donald Trump, Boulos said the GERD file remains very important and strategic to him. We know that during his first term, President Trump worked hard to reach a solution to this issue, he added, recalling that a technical agreement was nearly finalized and ready to be signed in Washington. Somaliland's newly elected president, Abdirahman Mohamed, Abdillahi Irro, arrived in Addis Ababa this week for his first official state visit since assuming office, marking a significant moment in Ethiopia-Somaliland relations. The visit comes amid heightened geopolitical interest in the Horn, with regional powers seeking new economic and security alignments. Upon arrival, President Irro was received by senior Ethiopian officials, including Foreign Minister Gideon Timotheos, underscoring Addis Ababa's intention to strengthen cooperation with Hargeisa. Talks between the two sides reportedly focused on trade, port access, and regional security. Ethiopia, a landlocked nation of over 130 million people, continues to view access to the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden as a strategic necessity. Analysts say Ethiopia is seeking to deepen ties with Somaliland, following tensions with Mogadishu earlier this year over the Maritime Access Agreement. While neither side disclosed specific details, diplomatic sources suggest Ethiopia is exploring new frameworks for economic collaboration, including energy exports, logistics, and education partnerships. President Irro emphasized Somaliland's commitment to peace and mutual development, calling Ethiopia a key partner for regional progress. The visit is seen as part of a broader recalibration of Ethiopia's foreign policy, balancing its relationships with both Somalia's federal government and Somaliland's autonomous administration, while avoiding escalation in a region where alliances can shift rapidly. Kenya's leading financial institutions are looking north. Several major Kenyan banks have expressed interest in entering the Ethiopian market, despite growing economic and regulatory challenges. Ethiopia, with a population exceeding 130 million and rapid urban growth, remains one of Africa's largest untapped financial frontiers. The Ethiopian government has been gradually liberalizing its banking sector, allowing foreign banks to establish subsidiaries, a major policy shift aimed at attracting investment and boosting capital flows. According to reports, Equity Bank, KCB Group, and Cooperative Bank have all submitted preliminary interest letters to Ethiopian authorities. Kenyan executives say they view Ethiopia's market as high risk but high reward. While the country's currency shortage, high inflation, and complex regulatory environment pose challenges, the potential for long-term growth and regional integration remains strong. Financial experts note that early movers could secure strategic advantage in digital banking and cross-border trade financing. Ethiopia's fintech landscape is also evolving rapidly, supported by new payment regulations and mobile money frameworks. However, concerns persist about foreign exchange access and profit repatriation, with some analysts warning that full liberalization will take time. Still, as Nairobi banks weigh their options, the momentum underscores East Africa's growing financial interdependence, where competition increasingly transcends borders. The International Monetary Fund's latest World Economic Outlook, released in mid-October 2025, paints a mixed economic picture for the Horn of Africa, a region balancing gradual recovery with persistent structural pressures. According to the IMF's projections, Ethiopia remains one of the continent's fastest-growing economies, with real GDP growth expected at 7.2% for 2025. The fund attributes this performance to the country's steady industrial expansion, energy exports from the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, and renewed efforts to stabilize inflation through fiscal restraint. Kenya, by contrast, is projected to expand by 4.8%, reflecting moderate recovery in agriculture, digital services, and regional trade. The IMF notes that Kenya's service sector diversification and growing financial technology base remain key buffers against global shocks. In Somalia, the IMF forecasts 3% growth, supported by donor-backed fiscal reforms and gradual improvements in security and governance. Yet, limited infrastructure, recurring droughts, and reliance on external aid mean the economy remains fragile. For Eritrea, the fund provides no official growth data, citing limited transparency and incomplete macroeconomic reporting. Analysts suggest that restricted trade links, prolonged isolation, and sanctions have constrained Eritrea's output potential. Across the Horn, the IMF warns that fiscal pressures, global inflation, and climate shocks continue to threaten progress. Nevertheless, it highlights opportunities through regional trade, cross-border energy infrastructure, and stronger governance coordination. If reforms are maintained, the Horn of Africa could sustain one of Africa's highest collective growth rates through 2026. From Ethiopia's dam diplomacy to Somaliland's new leadership, Kenya's financial expansion, and the IMF's economic outlook, the Horn of Africa continues to define the region's future with ambition and resilience. If you found this episode informative, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more weekly updates. Follow Horn Africa Insight on X for real-time developments, where East Africa's story shines. #HornAfrica Insight.